Hammond's new show, Richard Hammond's Workshop, has been a smash hit on Discovery Plus. So thank you to all of you that have clicked through from our content to watch the show. Series 1 was all about setting up the Smallest Cog, his new business. So I thought we'd come here, grab Neil and have a chat to see what's been happening since the show went live. I imagine they've been very busy, and just taking a look around, there's some very special cars here. Neil, it's great to see you again.
Yeah, nice to see you, Mike.
I imagine you've been an incredibly busy man. How's it been since the show went live?
Amazing. Since the show's been out, it's just, yeah, great. We've been really busy. We had some of our old customers anyway, and we bought from Tram. So we've always been sort of really busy doing that work. And, you know, obviously some of Richard's stuff, MG, we've been just finished restoring, customers picking up Friday. What's really good about it is the amount of people that just call in. You get people just call in, and it's just mind-boggling the amount of cars that are locally that you don't really know exist. And all of a sudden people pull up, and you know, we got one chap pulled up the other day with Elton John's old Porsche 911.
No way.
And I just love looking at the the emails we get. You know, all these different cars, and they're not, you know, miles and miles away. They're quite local.
Okay.
And really rare sports cars, all sorts of stuff. Yeah. So it's just really entertaining seeing what's coming through the door.
Cool. Well, let's take a proper walk around of everything in here, starting with this. This is Mindy's Mercedes-Benz.
This is Mindy's SL, yeah.
And she serviced it in the show, didn't she?
Yeah, Mindy serviced. She actually done that herself. She done the spark plugs and serviced it, done the oil change, and there was a few little bits and pieces we wanted to sort out. The cold start wasn't running very well, but we managed to sort that now. And we put some new tyres on there because the tyres are a bit aged. We've done that.
I've heard they're very expensive.
They are, they're not. And we had a bit of a rung raid everywhere in the world, and they're quite a rare size.
They're big, chunky tyres.
Yeah, they're very wide and they're very small, so yeah. But we managed to get some. We managed to get some tyres, so that makes it safer. And I've driven this car quite a few times, and it's never driven any better than it's driven now. It's absolutely, you know, really going like a train at the moment.
Mindy's nailed it then.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. She's done a good job on the servicing, definitely.
Okay, and then in here, that is a striking car right there. Explain what this is.
That there is a Mark II Escort rally car,
okay,
which is one of our, that's sort of a lap over car, something we had from the old garage. It was a job I quoted last year. Bit of an oddball thing. It wasn't actually an accident. The chap, but that was his pride and joy, and that car was parked in his garage at home.
Yeah.
And an articulated lorry had a big accident, crashed into his next door neighbour's house, and then pushed all the wall down of his garage, which actually damaged that car. So it's an accident repair, but it's an accident not from a road accident. It's actually from a road accident, but that car was stationary.
And I'm guessing because you guys are fairly close to Wales, rally cars are quite popular around here.
Oh yeah. There's quite a few. There's quite a big following in Hereford for rally cars, all sorts of motorsports. It's quite amazing what's out there.
Okay. And then into this booth.
This is the prep bay, and in the prep bay, I don't know if you can remember, we had the old Olvis.
Yes, was this the barn find?
This is the barn find, belongs to Michael Fenton.
Okay.
The TA21 Tickford. And you can see we've stripped all the panels off it, and we're trying to get it back now to bare metal, get the panel shot blasted, and just it's an ongoing process, basically, stripping it down, stripping everything down, cleaning, painting, and getting it back together. So she's sort of part way through.
Okay, so this is going to be quite an extensive one then.
It'll take quite a while. Actually, we've really got to try and pull out all the stops and get that car sorted out by the end of January. So there's going to be a lot of work done to that car in a small amount of
January?
Yeah.
That's quick. Is that the engine over there? That's a big unit.
That's the engine at the Olvis, yeah. And what we found, it didn't actually come in for any engine work. It came in for the body work.
Okay.
But when we were taking things to pieces, we noticed that the core plugs had corroded and sort of fell out.
I can see them there on the sides, yeah.
That's it, a lot of corrosion in the block. So we rang Michael up and said, look, there's no point in carrying on with it unless we do something with the engine. So Anthony's taken the engine out, stripped it. We're going to clean all the galleries out in the engine, new head gasket, new core plugs. We know that the engine's good in itself, but we'll give it a good check over, reservice it, paint it, put it back in. So when the car's done and we build the car, so basically because it's a separate chassis, once the engine goes back in, the car is built around the engine.
Okay.
So we want to get the engine and the mechanicals sorted out before we do anything really, but we work alongside each other, get the mechanicals done, get the bodywork done and build it all up.
And then round here, I've recognised this car, but I don't think it was in the show. This has been around a while. What is this over here?
That car has been around quite a while in my own life because
that car
belongs to a very good friend of mine from school. and that was his dad's car.
What is it?
It's a Morris 8 Series E Tourer, and I think it's 1938, so it's quite an old car.
Okay.
And Barry, my friend, it was his dad's car, and he restored this in the 70s, bought it, it'd been used for banger racing.
Oh, wow.
And he bought it and restored it and got it going. And this car actually got film history. It was used in a film called The Black Hill.
Okay.
Back in the 80s. You know, it was
Before my time.
No. So it's had a bit of a history to it. But Barry's got one exactly the same colour, same car, and I restored that from a couple of years ago. And so we wanted to get this one done, but it has now been given to his son-in-law. This is Barry's son-in-law now, who's inherited this car, which was Barry's dad's car. So we've got this car has been floating around for a long time. I actually painted this car back in about 1983, I think. That's going back a long time.
Okay.
And there's a fair bit of history to it. And this car was actually used for my brother's wedding.
Wow.
So and the sad part of it was when Harold, who's Barry's dad, passed away, they asked me if I could drive this car to his funeral, and I actually drove this car to Barry's dad's funeral and just he drove by it and whatever, and I drove it back. But it was like to give him a bit of a send-off. So there's a lot of emotion in this car. It'd be nice to get it finished and get it back to Barry.
I'm seeing in this car there's some wood framing in the doors. How much of that is specialist, or do you have quite a lot of experience with other materials rather than just metalwork?
Well, yeah, with this car, this is a bit like the Elvis is the same. It's old construction. The only difference with this is being a Morris, this would have been made of mild steel panels. The Elvis would have been aluminium.
Right.
So it was a more expensive car. But basically, this car has still got some of the ash frame. It's got ash frame inside the doors.
Yes.
But the actual, it's separate chassis, this car, but the actual body is pressed steel. So it was right on the verge of going to a monocoque, basically. But it's still got to have the same skills to repair the wood around the ash frame with the older steel panels, but there's not so much wood in this as there is in the Elvis.
Just seeing what that badge is.
I think
Albert W. Marriott, the Motor House, Hereford.
They were the dealers back in the day in the 30s.
Okay, and I recognise this car. This car was in the show, and this one's a bit special, isn't it?
That is Dean Convine's Bentley R-Type, which is a very, very, very rare car.
So one of two or one of
No, one of three.
One of three.
They only ever made three of them.
Okay.
The one is believed to be destroyed, and Dean owns the other two.
Okay.
The other one Dean's had restored years ago, and then this car wants restoring. So it's a really rare car.
And what is the plan with this? Full strip down or just tidy up?
No, it would be a bare metal respray. Probably take the body off the chassis, recommission the chassis. You'd really want to go right through it. It would be a big job and take a long time, but you couldn't do half a job on this. It's such a special car. You would have to go right through it, nut and bolt, basically.
Have you had much dealings with Bentleys before? Do you like this kind of stuff?
I've worked on Bentleys before, yeah. This is a bit different because it's, the later Bentleys, they are handmade, but this is proper old craftsmanship, handmade aluminium panels. You know, they're really specialist, but it's nothing that scares me. I just know it's a lot of work. Very, very well-made car. Everything's very intricate, so you've got to really take your time and disassemble everything carefully. It would take a very long time just to literally strip that car, just to make sure that everything is kept in place and you don't lose anything. And, you know, it would be a big job, but it'd be enjoyable. It would take a long time.
Okay, and then this is something a bit more humble, but this looks like a minter, this lovely MG. What's the story of this?
Well, this is a job that I actually sort of quoted when I was at Tram, just before we were in the transition period of coming to this garage. And the chap knew that we were moving, and he knew the story. And I said, well, look, I can't do the car now because of what's going on. And he said, I'm prepared to wait. So the chap's name's Derek Brown, very, very nice chap. Brought the car in, we gave him an estimate, and it's had a lot of work, this car. It's had the bottom back wings. It was interesting because the car's had a lot of money spent on it. It's had a lot of upgrades. And it didn't look too bad. The sills were rotten and there was rust in the bottom of the wings. But when we stripped it down, you could see that somebody had put brand new panels on there and they were literally tack welded. So when you took the filler off, where they actually welded the panels on under those trims, there was a little tack weld, and you could literally...
You just bend it off.
You could just pull it straight off your hands.
Bloody hell.
And somebody had spent a lot of money restoring that car years ago, but we explained to him that if we put it back on, we would seam weld it. It was all done properly. So what it's had a lot of work. It's had brand new bottom wings,
Yep.
brand new sills, brand new inner sills, brand new castle section, brand new lower front wings, and then we've painted it and blended the paint into. We haven't resprayed it. We've matched the paint work into the remaining paint that's on it.
Hammond has talked to me before about his XK120, and he's wanting Old English white on that. I think he's going for a maroon interior with Old English white.
Yeah, he was going to have maroon. Well, it's not maroon. It was going to be oxblood.
Okay.
Oxblood interior and Old English white bodywork. But that might change. It all depends. You know, he's a bit sort of not totally decided yet. But Old English white on a Jag is just, yeah, it's iconic. It's that original, really nice, you know, what suits the car.
So having moved in here, you've got, what, 6 cars in here?
Yep.
How's it going in terms of the rate of work? Are you managing to now churn out more than you could back at the Tram Inn?
We can turn over a lot more here. The only thing that's been slowing us down with moving to these premises is finding things. You're still moving and looking for things. But I think when we settle in a bit more time, and then things will fall to hand, it'll make the job quicker. But it hasn't really slowed us down that much. So we've turned over quite a bit of work, and we're hoping that once we get in a bit more organised, then the flow will be a bit better.
Okay. So what's next then? What's next for the Smallest Cog?
Well, this is interesting. Now, the next thing, we know what we've got in the pipeline, as in the old, which has got to be done.
Yeah.
We've got the XK120, which is going to be coming in, going to be restored. We've got Dean's car.
Yeah.
But this is what's really surprising to me is the amount of people that's got in touch with us and found us and got here with different cars. And some of the things are so interesting. We've got barn finds, they've got old Rovers, they've got people with DeLoreans, Porsches. And it's just so interesting because you've got so many different types of cars and interesting people to talk to. And there's one special car that might be coming along in the pipeline, which is a bit of a racing car I've never heard of, but we'll have to just see what happens. And if it comes up, I can't wait to go and have a look at it, but we'll see what happens.
That sounds interesting. Are you going to take on Elton's 911? That sounds
well, I think he is booked in. We've just got to work a date out for that's coming in. But I think it was the first car. It's a 1976 or 7, I think. So it was when he was just sort of getting famous and making his first bit of real money, and he bought this Porsche 911. You can just imagine Elton John being a young bloke getting in that car and putting his radio on and playing one of his songs on that. It's mind-boggling to think that car's local and it's there.
Well, good luck. Fingers crossed for a Series 2.
Yeah. We're hoping that's the next thing, Series 2. And don't forget, it's Drive Tribe that started all this off.
You keep saying
it is though, but it's true. And credit where credit's due. And it's only because, you know, people were really interested in seeing that. And I think it's good for us. And I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for them. So we're really grateful.
Well, coming here is always a pleasure, and hopefully we're going to be here a lot more.
Thank you.
I hope you guys enjoyed this video. It was great to catch up with Neil, and it's awesome to see that this place is properly kicking off. If you like this video, you're gonna love the show. So if you haven't watched it yet, click the link in the description below and you'll be able to watch Richard Hammond's workshop on Discovery Plus. I've been Mike, and don't forget to subscribe to Drive Tribe.